Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Professional Development Day. Today, Courtney, Jodie, and I will be presenting an analysis and evaluation of the three main integrated approaches as defined by Fogarty. Our aim today is to give you all a deeper appreciation and practical understanding of these frameworks, which you can then hopefully apply back in your classroom. Using an integrated curriculum inspires students to imagine a bigger picture and helps them apply their knowledge to a real-world context. I will begin today with an interdisciplinary approach, also known as the traditional approach, that focuses on the models within the single disciplines. The model I will be exploring is the fragmented model. After me, my colleague Jodie will discuss the multidisciplinary approach, which extends across several disciplines, and she will be focusing on the webbed model. And then finally, Courtney shall explore the transdisciplinary approach and the networked model with us all. This is the model that applies beyond the subject areas and within the learners themselves. I hope you can all learn something new from this presentation. What is the interdisciplinary approach? The interdisciplinary approach focuses on integration within one subject, such as maths or geography, and aims to connect that subject's knowledge and skills into a coherent whole. It can be broken down into three models: fragmented, connected, and nested. For the purpose of keeping this presentation digestible, I will only be focusing on the fragmented approach and the pros and cons of using this in our classroom. This approach benefits students who need more instruction or earlier stages, such as kindergarten or year 1, who are just beginning to make those connections between topics and subjects. The interdisciplinary approach lays the foundation for the multidisciplinary approach, which then in turn prepares the student for the bigger picture of the transdisciplinary approach. By using these methods over the course of a child's school life, we are setting them up to be critical thinkers with a bigger picture view of the world. Let's take a deeper look at the fragmented model. The fragmented model is a traditional model of separate and distinct subjects. Most of us probably remember from school having one book for English, one for maths, and one for science. It is a traditional curriculum design, but is still used today and can be clearly seen on the New South Wales curriculum and other states. The singular approach does not draw the connection between how students could be using maths within science, and can leave children with a fragmented view of the curriculum. However, integration can begin by listing and ranking topics, concepts, and skills to systematically organize curricular priorities within each subject, and this then lays the foundation for other integrated approaches. As seen here on this screenshot from the New South Wales Government curriculum, subjects are separate, but we can see the links between subject matter and topics already being highlighted in the descriptions. Such examples as, in creative arts, students discover a variety of art forms through the mediums of dance, drama, and music. Interdisciplinary approach is still a very relevant model in an integrated curriculum in the 21st century. When looking for a theorist that underpins this model, we look no further than the Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget. Piaget was a strong believer in the fragmented approach, and his theory on the stages of cognitive development underpins the curriculum to this day. Psychologist Kay Sherry outlines that his theory suggests children move through 4 different stages of mental development. It focuses not only on understanding how children acquire knowledge, but also on understanding the nature of intelligence. There are 4 main stages that are then subdivided into other stages, but today we should just look at the 4. There's the sensory motor stage, which ranges from birth to 2 years old. The pre-operational stage is from ages 2 to 7, the concrete operational stage, age 7 to 11, and the formal operational stage, which is for ages 12 and beyond. In Piaget's view, the cognitive ability of these 4 stages was developed by using processes and actions that later progressed to changes in mental operations, and as we continued to develop, we became more self-aware. Piaget was one of the first to suggest that children's brains were not just tiny adult ones. His hypothesis came from observing his daughter and nephew, and suggested that intelligence is something that grows. There are both qualitative and quantitative differences between thinking of young children and the thinking of older children. Children were not less intelligent than adults. They just had a different way of thinking. So when teaching in this fragmented approach, you are aligning with Piaget and his theories, which is a great segue into how do I apply all this wonderful knowledge into my classroom. So if we were to apply a Piaget lens to the classroom, we would build lesson plans around the cognitive stage our children were at. For this example, let's use a classroom of stage 3 students at the concrete operational stage. At this stage, students are able to start thinking more logically and rationally, but still need manipulatives to help them understand more abstract ideas. This means lessons should involve objects to aid understanding and enhance their learning. In the mathematical setting, this could involve using blocks, dice, or counters. The idea of a child as an active scientist stems from the schema that drives a child to learn. When they are challenged as they interact with their environment, they are forced to accommodate new information, which adds or modifies the information in that schema. By teachers taking on an active mentoring role rather than simply giving the child information, you are activating this notion of discovery learning and challenging the schema. Children should be encouraged to learn from their peers and share the learning experience with the educator as well. This encourages a more thorough learning experience, as other students may excel in different areas. By focusing on the process as well as the result, you are teaching children that learning can take place in many forms, and whether there is success or failure, they still have achieved something. Thank you all for listening to my
Thanks, Courtney, for the introduction. And in the next slide, following on from the models of integration, we will be covering between the subject areas. So these dot points stating the in-between subject area of the model map is interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary. Following on from that, the interdisciplinary involves more than one area of learning. The multidisciplinary is combining multiple disciplines in study, for example, mathematics, science, English, and history. Interdisciplinary is the field that requires a multidisciplinary approach. This is basically saying that to use interdisciplinary or multidisciplinary, you need one or the other because it is the approach that you need for that model. And in the interdisciplinary approach, part of that is the earth sciences, life sciences, vocational studies, physical sciences, mathematics, humanities, communication, and social studies.
Thanks, Jodie. Your understanding and perspectives on interdisciplinary curriculum integration are very in-depth. Good morning, everyone. I'm Courtney Morton, and I'll be speaking about the transdisciplinary approach to curriculum integration, the IMMERSE model. As per Gordon's definition of integrated learning, transdisciplinary curriculum integration connects knowledge, skills, and understanding across subject areas in meaningful ways. The immersed model refers to curriculum integration beyond subjects, immersed throughout the curriculum with an inquiry-based question or problem to explore and solve. The student becomes immersed in his or her own experience as they filter all disciplinary learning through their lens of experience or area of expertise. Students are agentic in their own learning, making real-world connections with what they are learning within, between and beyond subjects. What does the immersed model of transdisciplinary integrated learning look like? Well, integrated learning is generally organised into units of work based around current events, topics of relevance, and interests of students, which are a vehicle for providing contexts for planned learning. Project-based learning, or PBL, and inquiry-based units that reflect students' interests. Skills, values, knowledge and understandings are taught and assessed. Immersed integrated learning relies on deep collaboration and specialisation between teachers, as well as deep content understanding of teachers. Educators challenge students to make connections between core subject knowledge, skills and understandings and build transdisciplinary 21st century knowledge, skills and understandings. The immersive integration approach fits in well with Kath Murdoch's inquiry model to engage students and support active participation. To inquire is to question, and to support questioning processes is to develop independent learners. Step 1 is tuning in, Step 2 is finding out, Step 3 is sorting out, Step 4 going further, Step 5 making conclusions, Step 6 taking action to change what needs to be changed. The teacher's role is to be in charge of the inquiry, explore students' knowledge, interests and attitudes, identifying misconceptions and facilitating deep learning. Teaching and assessment is reverse mapped, identifying desired results, then determining acceptable evidence, and finally planning learning experiences and instruction to ensure skills, knowledge, and understanding of the different curriculum areas and content descriptors are covered and assessed. The immersive integrated approach to teaching the curriculum is supported by Vygotsky's theory of sociocultural development, whereby children socially construct their own knowledge and understanding, constantly reshaping their understanding to accommodate their new developing ideas and understandings. Through inquiry learning across disciplines, students are at the centre of their own learning as they explore topics impacting their communities. The learning is scaffolded by the teacher to support achieve curriculum outcomes, to explore the social, historical and cultural context of the inquiry question and rely on social interactions for learning. The child relies on information from the teacher, their peers and other credible sources to become the expert, sharing and constructing their understandings through social collaboration. The immersive integrated approach also reflects Piaget's zone of proximal development, as the learning is in line with the curriculum and the child is developing skills and understandings which are developmentally appropriate. Through sociocultural learning, students are engaged as they display and communicate their interests, understandings and passions. Application of Application of the transdisciplinary approach in the classroom starts with an open-ended question. Here is an example of how the current issue of how do people become refugees or asylum seekers in Australia. The teacher has decided the outcomes they wish to achieve from the inquiry-based unit and plan each lesson to achieve the skill, knowledge and understandings. Planning is responsive to student understanding and questioning. This is an immersive inquiry-based unit of work covering maths, HASS, geography, civics and citizenship and English content descriptors, developing skills and knowledge. For example, in English, students make connections between their own experiences and those of characters represented in texts, drawn from different historical, cultural and social context. The Australian Curriculum Content Descriptor ACELT 1613, as they explore the littlest refugee by Ando. From this exploration, students used an atlas to explore the geographic location, differences in the economic, demographic and social characteristics of countries across the world. Content descriptor ACHASS K139, from which students compare data through interpret and compare a range of side-by-side column graphs for two categorical variables. Content descriptor ACMS P147. Benefits and limitations of the immersive integrated approach. Limitations include limited targeted mathematical learning. Some areas of the curriculum can be explored deeply while others may become lost. Assessment is more difficult to plan. It cannot extend to all content descriptors. It is dependent on deep teacher knowledge. Benefits of an immersive learning approach are a reprieve from the crowded curriculum. It broadens student knowledge base and encourages use of prior knowledge. It encourages children to use their imaginations. The approach is less restrictive than traditional approaches. Students are active participants in their own learning and construction of knowledge. Inquiry learning fosters connection making and supports metacognition. Students actively learn through drawing connections. Students are active agentic decision makers throughout their learning. The learning is authentic as it explores real human experience. Children engage in their lifelong learning journey. Quality learning experiences are preferred over quantity. Thank you for